No joke, what was supposed to be just another playoff game has turned into a full-blown mystery, something straight out of a suspense series. Everything unfolded so fast during Game 2 against Houston. One of the team's key players went down with a pelvic injury. Now, injuries happen all the time, especially in the playoffs when the intensity is sky-high, but this time things took a strange turn. It all started when the player's agent sent out a cryptic message, and from that moment on, the internet hasn't stopped trying to decode what's really going on with this guy's pelvis. And let's be real, whenever you mix playoffs, injuries, and vague statements, curiosity goes through the roof. I'm here even feeling under the weather because this situation deserves attention. It's got layers, confusion, and a whole lot of speculation. You got fans refreshing social media every 5 minutes waiting for MRI results, others diving deep into conspiracy theories, and everyone else just asking the same thing: what on earth is happening? So let's break this down. Right after the game, news came out that the player was undergoing an MRI to check on the injury. Nothing unusual there, but the agent, instead of releasing a standard update like "we're waiting on results," decided to go with something way more dramatic. The message said, and I quote, "Pray for the bear." That's it. No context, no clarification, just those 4 words, and from that moment, chaos. People started linking it to all sorts of things. Some thought it was about the player himself, others thought it was a metaphor, and then there were those who took it literally and wondered if the agent was actually talking about a bear. Now here's where it gets interesting. Fans who follow pop culture immediately connected it to a TV show called The Bear, which for the record is amazing and definitely deserves more awards. But again, what does that have to do with a playoff injury? Nothing, right? Still, the internet being the internet, the memes came flying, hot takes started pouring in, and for a good chunk of the day people forgot there was even a basketball game involved. It was all about decoding this cryptic phrase, but then the real clue dropped. Someone pointed out that the mascot for the Houston team is a bear, so maybe, just maybe, the message wasn't so cryptic after all. Maybe the agent was just being clever, saying "pray for the bear," because once the player comes back, the bear, aka the Houston team, is in trouble. If that's the case, then okay, it's kind of funny, but still, this is not the time for riddles. People just want to know if the guy is okay. What makes this even more confusing is that the team isn't acting like it's a big deal. The coach spoke to reporters and said he's not too concerned. He even compared it to another pelvic injury that a different player on the roster had last month. Apparently it's a similar issue at this point. I feel like we've all become part-time doctors because we've had to learn so much about muscle strains, MRIs, and pelvic structures over the past few weeks. And that's just from watching basketball. To give you some context, this isn't the first time the players dealt with something like this. Back in 2023, he had a similar injury against a rival team. He fell hard, tried to brace himself, and ended up with a pelvic issue. It wasn't ideal, but what stood out was how he bounced back right after that injury. He put up monster performances: 56 points in one game, 42 in the next. So naturally people are hoping that this is just another bump in the road, and that he'll come back firing on all cylinders like he did before. Still, until we get official results from this MRI, it's all speculation. The coach seems calm, the player isn't panicking, and yet the internet is absolutely losing its mind, and you can't really blame anyone. This is the playoffs. Every possession matters, every injury changes the game. If he's out for even 1 or 2 games, it shifts the balance of the series completely. And just to add more fuel to the fire, there's another subplot going on. One of the league's top defenders, who's also a teammate of the injured player, didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. He finished 3rd, which is respectable, but for a guy who's been locking down the best scorers in the league night after night, it's a bit of a letdown. He's played 13 seasons and still goes toe-to-toe with 7-footers despite being 6 feet 6 inches. His footwork, his timing, his instincts, they're all elite, and yet he walks away without the trophy. There's hope, though, that he'll land a spot on the all-defensive first team, which would be a well-earned recognition for the grind he's put in this season. Last night he put on another defensive clinic going up against one of the league's trickiest scorers, a guy who loves to draw contact and complain to the refs every time he misses a shot. You know the type, and still our guy held him in check. It's performances like these that make people scratch their heads when he doesn't get more recognition. But anyway, while the awards drama simmers in the background, all eyes are still on the injury as I record this at 6:15 in San Francisco, and the medical staff should already have the MRI results in their hands. Whether they've shared it with the front office or not, we don't know. What we do know is that every fan base, especially the ones still alive in the playoffs, are watching closely, because this isn't just about one player. It's about momentum, it's about rhythm, and it's about how fragile everything becomes when one key piece goes down. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if your star isn't on the court, it changes everything. Opponents sense weakness, matchups shift, and suddenly a series that seemed locked in can swing the other way. And yeah, while everyone's refreshing Twitter hoping for Shams or WOJ bomb about the MRI, we're all still here trying to read between the lines of vague statements and cryptic messages. Pray for the bear. Was it a joke? Was it a warning? Or was it just an agent being dramatic? Whatever it was, it worked. The whole basketball world stopped what it was doing and started paying attention. And maybe that's the point. In the middle of a grueling playoff series, sometimes all it takes is for little words to shift the narrative and remind everyone just how unpredictable this game really is. It started like any other playoff night, tension in the air, fans locked in, expectations sky high, but somewhere between the opening tip and the final whistle, something shifted. A play of fall, a substitution that didn't feel routine. And just like that, the story stopped being about Game 2 and started being about something else, something vague, mysterious, and completely unexpected. One of the team's most important players left the floor with what was fine. No one panicked at first. These things happen. A player gets banged up. He walks gingerly to the locker room. You hope it's precautionary, but then came the tweet, a single cryptic tweet from the player's agent. Pray for the bear. For words, no context, no follow-up, no explanation. And just like that, the fan base, no, the whole league spiraled into confusion. What did it mean? Was the player the bear? Was a metaphor? Was it a warning? Was it sarcasm? Theories exploded on every timeline. Reddit threads got created in seconds. Was this about his injury? Was it serious? Was he out for the series? Was something else going on? People dug deep, way too deep. Some said it was a reference to The Bear, the hit TV show. Others wondered if it had something to do with the opposing team's mascot, which hilariously is a bear. Maybe it was a message to them. Maybe it was a jab. Or maybe, and this is where things started to feel wild, it was a way to say that the bear, the player, or the spirit of the team, was in real danger. Either way, nobody knew for sure. All they knew was that a player they absolutely needed to stay healthy had left the court, and now the only communication from his camp was a riddle. Meanwhile, the team kept things business as usual. The head coach gave a post-game press conference that was, well, classic him, calm, collected, almost frustratingly relaxed. When asked about the injury, he said it didn't seem serious, compared it to another player's situation just a few weeks ago, mentioned it was a similar area, mentioned it was being evaluated, talked about next steps, about medical imaging, about protocols, but there was no urgency in his voice, no anxiety. You got the sense he either truly wasn't worried or he was doing an elite job of pretending not to be. Still, fans weren't buying it. They've seen this movie before. A player gets hurt, the coach says it's nothing, and the next thing you know, he's out for the rest of the playoffs. So when the MRI was scheduled and then later reported to have been completed, the hunger for answers only intensified. What did the scan show? Was there muscle damage? Was there inflammation? Was it strain, a tear, or something even worse? And most importantly, how many games would he miss? One to the rest of the series. The stakes couldn't be higher. This player isn't just anyone, he's the engine, the emotional core, the guy who turns a tight game into a runaway in 5 minutes flat, the guy who's done it before. Remember the 56-point night against Miami last year, followed it up with 42. He lives for these moments, and now at a time when every possession is do or die, he's suddenly a question mark. To make it even More surreal, his own past injury history became part of the conversation. In 2023, he went down with a similar injury during another playoff run, fell awkwardly, landed wrong, hurt his pelvic region. The comparison was instant. Was this the same thing? Was it worse? Was it the kind of injury that flares up again and again? That kind of context only made fans more nervous. Once a body part becomes a pattern, it stops being just bad luck and start becoming a concern. While all this was unfolding, another story was quietly brewing. One of the team's best defenders, an absolute rock on that end of the court, had just been named to the all-defensive team short list.